I made my brother a millionaire, then he stole everything, ran off with my ex, and left me broke. But the worst part? That wasn't even the real betrayal. You ever have that gut feeling something's gonna go wrong, but you go ahead with it anyway? That's how this whole mess started. Let me back up a bit. I'm 33 now, but this began when I was 28. At the time, I was running a small but solid online business flipping liquidation pallets, mostly electronics. Not glamorous, but it paid my bills and then some. I worked my ass off to build that business from scratch after getting laid off during the whole tech downsizing wave. I never got rich, but I was comfortable. Smart with money. Careful with people. Except one. My younger brother Ryan. Ryan's 3 years younger than me and has always been the kind of guy who somehow lands on his feet, even when he jumps headfirst into a dumpster fire. Charming. Easygoing. Broke as hell. The kind of guy who'd borrow $500 and then post vacation pics from Miami a week later. But he was family. My only sibling. After our parents passed away within a few years of each other, it was just the two of us. I was the responsible one, the parentified older kid. Ryan, not so much. In 2020, when the pandemic hit, a ton of businesses were closing left and right. People were desperate. And suddenly my little flipping gig blew up. Everyone wanted cheap gadgets, home office stuff, gaming consoles. My margins tripled overnight. I was swamped. That's when Ryan came to me. "Dude, let me help you out," he said, sitting on my porch one evening like he hadn't ghosted me for the past 4 months. "You're always saying you're overloaded. Let me work for you. Just give me a shot." I should have said no. But I didn't. I gave him a small role at first. Organizing inventory. Doing minor customer service follow-ups. He sucked at both, but he showed up. That was new. So I started trusting him with more. Handling order fulfillment. Managing the back end of the Shopify site. He learned quick, I'll give him that. A few months in, I made the mistake of bringing him in as a business partner. That's when the real betrayal began. We signed a basic 50-50 agreement, mostly because I wanted to believe in the guy. I had the skills, the customer base, the supplier network. He had energy, new ideas, and I thought loyalty. We registered the company together, opened a joint account, everything legit. I should have known things were off when he started dressing different. Nicer clothes. Flashier shoes. Then came the Instagram flexing, watch pics, weekend getaways, champagne brunches. I asked him straight up. "You spending business money?" "Nah man, I'm just budgeting smarter," he said with that same grin he always used when he was lying. But I was too buried in work to push harder. Then late one night, I got an email from one of our wholesale suppliers. Subject line. Payment issue, final notice. I froze. We had a scheduled monthly payout. Auto billed. Always on time. I checked our account. The balance was nearly zero. 60 grand, gone. I stared at the screen like it was a bad dream. My stomach knotted up as I scrolled through the transaction history. I saw payments I didn't recognize. Transfers to accounts I didn't authorize. And the worst part? Every single one was approved by Ryan. I called him, furious. Straight to voicemail. I texted, "Where's the money, Ryan? Call me now." No response. 2 days later, he posted a picture on Instagram, standing next to a brand new Tesla with the caption, "Built not bought." I lost it. I drove to his place. The lights were off, blinds drawn. A neighbor said he'd left for a long vacation. I contacted our bank, froze the account, and filed a fraud report. But since he was technically a business partner, things got complicated. The cops shrugged and said it was a civil matter. I couldn't even press charges, not right away, at least. He'd emptied the business account and vanished. And just like that, everything I built, 5 years of hustle, was wiped out by my own brother. But here's the part that really gets me. That wasn't the worst betrayal. Not even close. Because 6 months later, I found out what he did with the rest of the money. And who he gave it to. After Ryan disappeared, I spiraled. I spent weeks trying to untangle the financial mess he left behind. I couldn't pay suppliers. I had to refund orders out of my own dwindling savings. Negative reviews piled up. Shopify suspended our store. I went from making 6 figures a year to crashing on a friend's couch, nursing whiskey and regret. At first, I hoped Ryan would come to his senses. I told myself, he'll feel guilty. He'll send the money back. Maybe he just needed a loan, right? But deep down, I knew better. This wasn't desperation. It was calculated. A couple of friends suggested I lawyer up, but with what money? I burned through the last of my savings just trying to stay afloat. And to make things worse, because we were listed as co-owners on the LLC, the bank wasn't exactly on my side. The real turning point came 6 months later. I was at a local bar one night, watching a game, when a girl walked up to the bartender and asked for a soda. She looked familiar, but I couldn't place her. Then it hit me, she used to work at the same real estate office as my ex, Caroline. I didn't want to get involved, but she caught me staring and smiled. "You're Ryan's brother, right?" My jaw clenched. "Yeah." "Why?" She lowered her voice and leaned in, like she was about to tell me who killed JFK. "You didn't hear it from me, but Ryan's living with Caroline now. Out in Clearwater. Fancy house, rented under her name. Looks like they're playing house." I blinked, stunned. "Caroline? My Caroline?" She nodded. "Yup. Thought you two were a thing a while back." "We weren't just a thing. Caroline and I dated for 3 years. We'd been talking about moving in together before everything fell apart during the pandemic. She dumped me out of nowhere, saying I was too focused on work. Now she was shacked up with my brother? My stomach turned. I couldn't sleep that night. I scrolled through her social media like a man possessed. Sure enough, she'd posted vacation pics from Bali, dinner dates, and yes, that same damn Tesla Ryan had posed with. Only this time, she was in the passenger seat, smiling like she'd just won the lottery. The captions made me want to hurl. "So proud of my man, true entrepreneur vibes. Love is building empires together, Moneybag Redheart." She didn't just know what he'd done. She was in on it. Ryan used the money he stole from me to wine and dine my ex. The woman I almost moved in with. The woman who used to say, "You're too loyal to your brother. He's going to burn you one day." Yeah, real funny now. I didn't tell anyone right away. I was embarrassed. Angry. And honestly, a little ashamed that I hadn't seen it coming. But something inside me snapped that night. I stopped moping. I started planning. I found a cheap place to rent, barely a studio apartment, and picked up a night shift stocking shelves at a grocery store. During the day, I freelanced doing Shopify back-end work for local businesses. Slowly, painfully, I scraped together a few $1,000s. But I didn't want just money. I wanted revenge. And as it turns out, Ryan made a huge mistake by putting everything under her name. Caroline. Why? Because Caroline had a weakness. Her ego. See, Caroline always wanted to be an influencer. She lived for attention. And while she played it cool online, she couldn't resist posting behind-the-scenes glimpses of their life. Including, get this, a video tour of their rented house, complete with walk-in closet, boss babe, aesthetic, and the front gate code clearly visible in the background. Bingo. I sent that video to a lawyer friend of mine who owed me a favor. He helped me draft a detailed report to present to a small claims investigator, pointing out the suspicious activity, fake invoices Ryan had submitted under the business account, and the timeline of the theft. The clincher? One of the vendors Ryan paid never received anything. Turns out the invoice was entirely fake. He just created it to siphon $14,000 from the business account. That was my golden ticket. Now I had a fraud case. I filed a formal civil suit against Ryan and requested a subpoena for Caroline's financial records, since the stolen business funds were being used to support her lifestyle. That's when the cracks started forming. Apparently, Ryan never told her the whole truth. He said the money was inheritance. When she got served the subpoena notice, she lost it. She called me furious. "Why are you dragging me into this? I didn't do anything." "Oh, so you just thought the money appeared out of nowhere?" I asked calmly. "You're just bitter," she snapped. "You can't stand that he's happy now." I laughed so hard I nearly dropped my phone. "He's not happy, Caroline. He's screwed. And now? So are you." I hung up before she could respond. 3 days later, she kicked Ryan out. Guess she didn't want to be named in a court case after all. When Caroline kicked Ryan out, it was like knocking over the first domino. The man had no plan B. He showed up at my place 2 days later, like a stray dog, looking like hell. Same smug face, just a little more desperate now. "Look, man, we need to talk." I opened the door just enough to lean against the frame. "You mean you need to talk?" "I'm good." He looked over his shoulder like someone might be watching. Come on, dude. Don't do this. She turned on me. Shocker, I said. Guess you two were made for each other. He rubbed the back of his neck. Look, I messed up. I know. But I was gonna pay you back. Things got out of hand. Got out of hand? You drained our business account, bailed, and spent the money parading around with my ex like you were some crypto prince. He shifted uncomfortably. It wasn't like that. I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. Save it. You stole from me. You killed the business I built from scratch. You lied, and now you're being sued. Caroline kicked you out because she doesn't want her name tied to your fraud. That hit him. His face dropped. Wait, she told you that? Doesn't matter. You better get a lawyer. The clock's ticking. He opened his mouth like he wanted to argue but then just shook his head and walked off. I didn't hear from him for weeks after that. But the legal process started moving. Slow at first, like all civil cases. My friend helped file a full complaint. We submitted the fake invoices, the wire transfers, the business documentation, and Caroline's social media posts as indirect evidence of misused funds. She wasn't listed as a defendant anymore, but she sure wasn't gonna play innocent. Ryan never responded to the lawsuit. That turned out to be a gift. Because when the court date came around, he didn't show. I was awarded a default judgment. $84,000 in damages plus legal fees. Now, let me be clear, getting a judgment is one thing. Collecting on it is a whole different beast. But here's where things took another turn. A month later, Ryan tried to start his own Shopify store under a new name, selling the same products I used to specialize in. I found out because a former supplier sent me an email. Hey, did you rebrand? I looked it up, and there it was. New store. Same stolen product descriptions. Same layout. Same marketing pitch. Unbelievable. But also, incredibly stupid. Because he used his real name on the business registration. My lawyer filed a lien on the new business within 48 hours. Froze his payment processor. I sent Shopify a takedown request with the court ruling attached. They shut him down again. He tried launching a TikTok account to promote his brand. I reported every single video. All of them vanished within a day. He was burning through aliases like wet paper. And every time he popped up, I buried him in legal red tape. He finally emailed me. Subject: you win. I opened it with a smirk. I get it. You hate me. I deserve it. But you made your point. I'm broke, I'm blacklisted, and I've got nothing left. You happy now? I didn't even respond. Not out of spite, because I knew this wasn't the end. Turns out, Ryan's financial spiral caught the attention of the IRS. When he drained our account and transferred funds to a personal account, without declaring it, that triggered a potential audit. Then came the cherry on top. One of the fake invoices he created had a forged vendor name. That vendor filed a complaint too. The state opened a small investigation into potential wire fraud. He wasn't just looking at civil trouble anymore. He was staring down criminal charges. I thought I'd seen Ryan at rock bottom. Turns out, that wasn't even close. A few months after the judgment and the shutdown of his phony online store, I got a call from a blocked number. I almost didn't answer, but something told me I should. Mr. Allen? The voice said. This is Special Agent Harris with the Financial Crimes Division. I froze. Turns out, Ryan's forged vendor invoice, remember the one with the fake business name, crossed state lines in a money transfer. That made it a federal matter. When the IRS and the state investigators started digging, they found discrepancies not only in his personal taxes but in the business filings from our company too. You can guess who was responsible for those errors. Me? Nope. Ryan had filed a backdated W-9 form listing me as the sole operator. For tax purposes, without my knowledge. He'd literally tried to pin the income on me after stealing the money. Agent Harris told me they were looking at potential charges for tax fraud, wire fraud, and identity misrepresentation. I don't even know how I stayed calm on the phone. I offered full cooperation. Gave them every document I had, every email, every chat log, bank statement, and even a backup of our Shopify admin messages that proved Ryan had taken over accounts without my consent. Then Agent Harris hit me with this. Do you know where he is currently residing? I laughed out loud. If I did, trust me, I'd be shouting it from the rooftops. Apparently, Ryan had bounced around a few albums, but hadn't held a permanent address since Caroline dumped him. He was officially off the grid. No job. No assets in his name. And still somehow not in jail. I won't lie, I fantasized a few times about finding him myself. But fate handled that for me. A month later, I got a call from Caroline. I almost declined it, but curiosity got the better of me. Hey, she said, her voice shaky. I thought you should know. Ryan's been arrested. I sat down. What happened? He tried to cash a check under a fake name at one of those shady payday places. They flagged it. There was already a warrant out. They grabbed him at the bus station an hour later. I let that sit for a second. Why are you calling me? I asked. She sighed. Because he gave them my address. Said I could verify his identity. I hadn't seen him in months. I swear I didn't know. Sure you didn't, I said. Hope you enjoyed the Tesla. Click. That was the last time I spoke to her. As for Ryan, he didn't go to prison, at least not for long. He took a plea deal. 6 months in county jail, plus 3 years of probation, and full restitution ordered for the civil judgment. Of course, that just meant he'd have to start paying me back slowly over time, assuming he ever got a real job. Which seemed unlikely. But here's the real twist in all of this. As much as I wanted to watch him rot, I couldn't deny how much he taught me. Not in a good way, but in the kind of way that leaves scars. I learned how naive I'd been. How dangerous blind loyalty can be. And how betrayal doesn't always come from enemies. It often walks through the door wearing your last name. Funny enough, all the pain he caused ended up pushing me to rebuild smarter. I didn't go back to flipping pallets. That ship had sailed. Instead, I took all the knowledge I had about e-commerce, every win and every disaster, and started consulting for other small businesses. Real ones. With real teams and accountability. The demand was insane. Turns out, lots of small-time sellers needed help scaling or avoiding the traps I'd already fallen into. Within a year, I was making twice what I had during my peak flipping days. I built a reputation. Even launched a YouTube channel about e-commerce horror stories. And guess what? This one right here? Yeah, it's going on there too. Names changed, of course. But if you're watching this, wondering if you should go into business with a family member, think twice. Sometimes the person who says, "Trust me," is the one you should trust the least. By now, most people assumed the story ended with Ryan getting locked up and me rebuilding my life. It didn't. 6 months after he got out of county jail, I had fully moved on. I was working with clients across the country, earning more than I ever had. I even started seeing someone new, Jess, a graphic designer I'd met through a client. She was smart, funny, and actually trusted me. That alone felt like a miracle after everything with Caroline and Ryan. Then one Thursday afternoon, there was a knock at my door. I was mid-call with a client and almost ignored it, but something about the rhythm, 3 knocks, pause, 1 more, felt weirdly familiar. I opened it. And there he was. Ryan. Thinner. Hair grown out. Same eyes, but none of the swagger. He looked empty. "Hey," he said quietly. "Can I come in?" I stood in the doorway stunned. "What are you doing here?" I needed to talk. Please." I didn't move. I should have shut the door right there. But a stupid part of me, some leftover instinct, felt the old pull. I stepped aside. He walked in slow, like he was stepping onto sacred ground. Looked around the apartment. "Nice place." "It's rented," I said coldly. "What do you want?" He sat on the edge of the couch like a kid in the principal's office. "I know I've got no right to be here. But I didn't know who else to talk to." I crossed my arms. "Try your probation officer." He gave a weak chuckle. "Yeah, I already did. That's actually why I'm here." Now I was confused. "I owe restitution." "To you?" "I can't find a job. No one will touch me. I've been sleeping in my car the last 2 weeks. I got nothing." I didn't say a word. "I know you probably think I'm just here to ask for money." "You are here to ask for money," I cut in. "You always are." He shook his head. "Not this time. I'm asking for a job." I laughed. Loud. "A job? With me? Are you out of your damn mind?" He looked up, eyes red. "I'm serious. I'll do anything. Clean floors. Pack boxes. I don't care. I just need a shot. Just one." The silence between us stretched. I remembered everything, every lie, every stolen dollar, every smug grin on Instagram. The Tesla. Caroline. The lawsuits. The emails. The sleepless nights. And yet, some part of me still remembered when we were kids. When we built Lego cities and stayed up playing Mario Kart. Before life got complicated. I sighed. I'm not hiring. I work alone now. He nodded slowly, like he expected that. But I wasn't finished. But I'll tell you what, I said. Go down to Maple and Fifth. There's a shipping warehouse. Guy named Leo runs it. He's always looking for hands. He won't care about your record if you show up on time and keep your mouth shut. His eyes widened. You'd do that for me? I shrugged. I didn't say I'd call him. You're on your own. But you want a shot? Start with showing up. He nodded fast. Thank you? Really, thank you? I opened the door. Don't make me regret it. He stepped out, then turned. I know I can't undo what I did. But I'm gonna try to make it right. I didn't answer. Just shut the door behind him. And honestly, I didn't expect to ever see him again. A full year passed. I didn't hear a single word from Ryan. No calls. No texts. No angry emails. Nothing. And honestly, that was fine by me. I had no interest in reopening old wounds. I'd moved on, new clients, a growing channel, even moved into a small house outside the city. Jess and I were still going strong, and for the first time in years, life was stable. Peaceful. Then one day, I got a letter in the mail. Not an email. Not a text. A real, handwritten letter, addressed in messy but familiar handwriting. My stomach turned as I tore it open. Inside was a single sheet of paper and a folded cashier's check. The letter read, Hey, I don't expect forgiveness. You gave me a lifeline when you didn't have to. I went to the warehouse like you said. Leo took me on. Started me on night shifts loading trucks. It sucked. But it was honest. I've been working there ever since. No get-rich-quick schemes. No shortcuts. Just work. For the first time in my life, I'm earning what I spend. And I've been putting a little away each week. I know I still owe you a mountain. But I wanted to start repaying you properly. This check is for $2,000. It's not much, I know. But it's real. And there's more coming. I'm not quitting this time. I'm not asking for anything. Just wanted you to know I'm still trying. Ryan. Asterisk asterisk. I sat there staring at it for a long time. It wasn't about the money. Not really. I'd written off the restitution a long time ago. And it definitely wasn't about trusting him again, because I didn't, and maybe never would. But something about that letter felt different. There was no begging. No excuses. Just accountability. Over the next year, a new check showed up in my mailbox every few months. Small amounts. A couple hundred here, 1,000 there. Never late. Never skipped. Always with a short note, sometimes just still at it. And each time, I felt a strange mix of anger and relief. Like I could finally breathe again without bracing for a betrayal. Funny thing is, I kept those notes. All of them. Stuffed in a shoebox in my office. Some people never change. But some people do. Ryan's still got a long way to go. And he's never going to be my business partner again. But I'll give him this much. He's finally doing what he should have done a long time ago. Owning up to it. And as for me? I'm not bitter anymore. Just wiser. I built something from the ashes of his betrayal. And it's stronger than anything I had before. Not just the business, but me. Because once you survive being stabbed in the back by your own brother, there's not much else this world can throw at you that you can't handle.